All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
I want to share some words and thoughts with you before we get into the meat of this message, before we get into some cryptocurrencies, before we get into the years that I put out on Twitter and that I put out on the YouTube post that some of you saw, so that I can better explain these things. But first, let's start here so you can get what I'm trying to say. To someone who does not understand the French language or doesn't speak French fluently, to them, that's bizarre. But to someone who speaks French fluently and understands, there's nothing bizarre. So, same thing with the Chinese language, same thing with the English language. It could be bizarre to you if you don't understand it or comprehend it, correct? But to those who speak it, there's nothing bizarre. It's not foreign, it's natural. All right, so likewise, just because you don't understand a message does not mean that it is useless, does not mean that it can be advantageous for you if you understood it and comprehend it correctly. Okay, let me stick on this for a little bit more. Those who love to talk and don't listen, those are people that are foolish. All right, those people that believe that they know everything, and when you're talking, they're not really listening. Those people are both not teachable and they're foolish. And the more you talk and the less you listen, the less you learn, meaning the less you know. Right. So another thing, we cannot be people who are lazy to important things. I believe that finances are very important. Now, it's not the most important thing when it comes to everyday life, but finances are very important. So when someone is giving you some information about some way in some capacity that can benefit you or bless you financially, you should be listening and trying to accumulate as much as you can. And then here's the most important part: do your own research and figure out why so-and-so is talking about certain things, certain events, certain years, and try to see what is at play here. We can't be lazy and think everybody's just going to give it to you. Again, the verse I use is that it's to God's glory to conceal a matter. It's to a king's glory to discover it. You got to be diligent. You got to be earnest in and have that desire to go after it. You cannot expect everyone just to hand it over to you. All right. So I wanted to get that first part before we get into some of the things that I was talking about in my last video, and some of the things that I put up on Twitter, and some of the things that I wrote on YouTube. So let's get into that. I'm going to get into Vechain price that I put on my last video, and more discussion about Bitcoin and certain things as well when it comes to cryptocurrencies. But let's first touch on the years that I recently put up. And for those of you who don't know, I put up some years on my Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, it's 007 Mac007. And some of those of you who saw what I put up on YouTube, who are subscribed to this channel, you saw the years, and also in the private Telegram. But here we go: 1966. 1973, 1980, 1987, 1994, 2001, 2008, 2015, 2022. So I'm talking about the year 2022, that there's going to be financial turbulence. Not only financial turbulence, but there's going to be turbulence in a lot of areas. But when there is financial turbulence, that usually shakes up everything, okay? Wars, things of that nature. But going back to one of the main things of what I'm trying to put out here with those years is go look at those years, what took place financially. Go look at what happened to the stock market. Go look at what happened to the financial market, recessions, real estate market. Go look at what took place in those years. I'm trying to tell you about what's going to take place in 2022. Then there was something else that I added to that part, and I don't want to touch too much into it, but there's a certain small group of people, when you compare it to the rest of the world, who have great financial acumen. It's almost like they can predict the future. They know when to buy low, they know when to sell high, they know when to accumulate, and there's many different ways that they do it. First of all, they work together, very unified front. It's just genius. But there's also a supernatural guide there, okay? And again, as I started this video, just because you don't understand the Chinese language doesn't mean it's bizarre. Just because you don't understand some spiritual laws or the things or the way this world was created or the creator doesn't mean, I mean, you can't be so full of pride and arrogance and say, well, that's not real, that doesn't exist, this and that, because I don't understand it, I don't see it. Well, how about this? How about you take some time off of that dumb Instagram or that dumb Facebook or that dumb game for a little bit and try to connect into something higher than what you see with your physical senses. Well, if I don't see it, I don't believe it. Fine. That's your choice. That's why you don't understand, though, when I give you those years, right? And I'm giving you something physics. That's what I'm trying to say, that I can show you to your face and you still will be like, well, this doesn't make sense. Because the small, rigid person who believes they know everything and they know it all, or, yeah, no, I'm not open-minded to that. I can't just dig into that. I don't have time for that. I got to spend time on my Instagram. You know, I got to spend time on my Facebook. I got to spend time on binge watching Netflix or this or that instead of reading, instead of doing some more research. And how about you don't need to believe it all the way, but just take a little step and say, well, Let's look at this a little deeper here, and let's try to figure this out, okay? So again, I'm trying to share with you some secrets here, and in a way, it's not to be handed over to you. You have to be diligent, and you have to go do the research, and you got to go and figure it out for yourself. If you're not willing to do it, that's on you. Okay, now, some people are asking me about the Vechain price. And listen, I read all the comments. I might not reply to all of them, but I read all the comments. If you do have a question, and I'm gonna make this public before I get into the talk of the Vechain price and what I see for Bitcoin, what I see for cryptocurrencies next year, in the year 2021, and what's coming in 2022. So I'm gonna get into that, all right? But you gotta have patience. If you have questions, and this is good, or comments, put them on the comment bar on YouTube, right, on this video, or whatever video I do. Put them up. Just because I don't respond to them doesn't mean that I won't respond to them on a future video or explain better. And I understand that these things can be a little bit complicated, especially in the manner that I'm trying to do it, where I don't want to put too much information out there in the way that I can. Like, I can put it there and say the whole thing. And the thing is that, first of all, I don't believe I'm allowed to, okay? Second of all, I don't want to misguide you in the sense of where I show you something and then you think that's just the way it is. You have to tie it in physically and spiritually, but I'm going to do my best to give you some of these things physically, okay? So we got that established. You got questions? Put it on the comment bar on the YouTube or on Twitter, 007, MacMac007, and I will make videos off of your questions or your comments. So there was a comment about, hey, you're not being persistent with your bullish Vechain call because you're talking about the Vechain price at 4, 5, 6 cents. That's more or less what the message was talking about. I'm not going to go too much into it. And that's not what I said. What I said was, but that's why you got to pay attention to what I'm talking about. I said that 4, 5, 6 cents is me shooting low. That is very, very low for the Vechain price at the peak of next year. Okay? That's me shooting low. But if that's me shooting low, look at where we're at right now, currently, the Vechain price. That is still great returns on investment. Okay? But that's not where I believe it should be at. So my Vechain bullish price of seeing it north of 15 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents, that would not surprise me at all to see Vechain at those numbers. My main point, what I was trying to disclose and talk about or discuss, was that if Vechain, which I do not see happening, which I do not believe, okay? And it's just my opinion, what I see, not financial advice. But if I was to see Vechain at under a penny, 2 cents, not around 4, 5, 6 cents at the very, very least, at the very, very minimum, at the peak of this bull market that I believe will be taking place next year in 2021. Okay, then there's a big problem. That's a huge disappointment from the cryptocurrency market. Not Vechain. Vechain, that's another thing I want to talk about. Vechain as a business, okay, I'm very bullish long term. Now you got to separate the business from the price of cryptocurrencies. You understand? Which is all speculative, and it's a very different market. But with that being said, there's many things, many signals, many visual charts that you can look at from the beginning of the cryptocurrency market to where we're at now and see the certain trend that takes place. So I put these two things together. I see what Vechain's doing. I see what they're accomplishing. I see the necessity of the token. I see the real transactions. I see what's taking place after the year of the halving. I've seen what's taking place. I've been through this. I've experienced it. I'm putting all these things together. Things that also have come to me in other ways that you wouldn't understand, so I'm not going to touch on that, okay? That for me, the price of Vechain should be at the very, very minimum, around 4 to 5, 6 cents by next year. At the very minimum, in my opinion. That is not saying that I do not expect or that I would be surprised to see Vechain at 20 cents. That would not surprise me. Or 30 cents, again, or 40 cents, or 50 cents, or close to $1. That would not surprise me. Okay, so I have to repeat this again because people are not understanding. That what would surprise me if we're not at 5 cents. At the very, very, very minimum. Basically saying that if we're still fluctuating here by next year at a certain time, right, and we're still at these prices, that would surprise me. But if you have, for example, I'm just going to throw a random number out. Let's say you have 1 million Vechain. Let's say you have 1,000,005 Vechain, 2 million Vechain, and you've been getting and accumulating at these levels. Or you got 3 million Vechain, whatever it is. Everybody's in different levels. And it goes to 4 or 5 cents. There's pretty good returns on investment there, right? And if Vechain is all that you have, you cannot get mad at the market for how much you have, right? Just because you have a certain amount that you wish you had more does not mean, you got to understand this when it comes to financial markets, whatever. You can't dictate to the market what it gives to you. You just got to go with it and then, hey, build up for the next time, right? And that's why greedy people get burned. You got to take what it gives you. And in this cryptocurrency market, you got to separate it. This video is going to go a little longer, and hey, so be it. But you got to separate the cryptocurrency market from other different markets and see what's comparable, right? In the stock market, 6%, 7%, those are like, wow, special returns. You understand? Usually there's people with a lot more money. You're talking about institutional buyers, so you're talking about millions of dollars, billions of dollars in that capacity. All right. So I understand when it comes to the cryptocurrency market, that there's, small fish that can turn $1,000 into hundreds of thousands of dollars. I understand that. So with what's taking place here in Vechain, and we're sticking with Vechain, and then I'm going to get into Bitcoin, and I'm going to close it there. All right. I'll say this. Yes, I'm very bullish on Reserve Protocol, RSR. I'm very bullish on Matic. I'm very bullish on Ethereum. And I'm very bullish on Tezos. There's other coins that I didn't mention. That's fine. That you've heard me mention before does not mean that I'm not bullish on them. Okay. But going back to Vechain, and I'm very bullish on Vechain, of course. Going back to Vechain, the price of Vechain, where it's at right now, and 5 cents at the very minimum, that's pretty good returns on investment. Okay? But again, 30 cents would not surprise me. In fact, now we're going to kind of touch on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is kind of the leader of the whole market. And this, I don't know how many cycles. When I say cycles, I'm talking about, the bull market, bear market cycles moving forward in a decade from now. How long this will be, there has to be a decoupling from the whole cryptocurrency market when it comes to Bitcoin. I don't know when that will take place. I think we're moving closer to that. But Bitcoin at the price of 40,000, 28,000, right? 30,000, 50,000, 60,000. I see Bitcoin, okay, again, past all-time highs. Would not surprise me if we're close to, by September, we're close to $100,000 Bitcoin, like $70,000, $80,000 Bitcoin. Would not surprise me. Would not surprise me. What would surprise me if we're under 20,000. That would surprise me. Or if we're not close to 20,000. That would surprise me by next year. Okay, so using that, if Bitcoin's at 20,000, right, and the market is, the cryptocurrency market is flourishing and functioning correctly, then there is no reason why Vechain should not be at 5 to 6 cents at the very minimum. And there's no reason why it should not touch all-time highs, which $10 will be equivalent to 10 cents. There is no reason why Vechain should not be there by next year. In my opinion, not financial advice. But if we're looking at a $50,000 Bitcoin, there should be no reason why it shouldn't surprise anyone if Vechain is sitting around 20 cents, 30 cents. It should not surprise you. You understand? Now, look at where the price of Vechain is at right now. Okay? And if you're talking about a Vechain price of 30, 20 cents, that is special returns on investment. Again, the percentages, not how much you were able to put in, but how much the market gave to you. Again, and I'm going to try to close it here. I'm just doing a lot of explanation here. Don't dictate to the market. Take what the market gives you. Don't be greedy. Not financial advice. That's just the way I talk to myself. Okay. So I'm talking to myself right now. Don't be greedy. Take what the market gives you, and there will always be another investment, another opportunity. And again, I'll close it here. I am of the belief that for a certain time, in the latter part of 2021, all the way to a certain latter part of 2022, I will rest, and then I'll be coming back in, not just the cryptocurrencies, but other investments as well, with a lot more capital than I have right now. And that's how it should be done. Rinse, repeat, and keep on doing it like that. Again, not financial advice, just my opinion. Stay blessed, be blessed. You already know.